Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Adam Smith of Washington. He's the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman Smith, you have a couple of things now to contend with on Pete Hegseth. Let's go first to the Inspector General's report and what you see in that.
Well, I think the most important thing is what you said. It concludes that Secretary Hegseth placed the lives of our service members at risk in the middle of a mission. Now, it's also interesting that Pete Hegseth's response to this thus far has been to say, totally exonerated, everything's fine. And that's the really interesting part about this. I mean, it's beyond ridiculous that the Secretary of Defense was sharing this information on a group chat. But ever since it came out, Pete Hegseth has acted like, just fine, nothing to see here, no problems. He has no intention of changing this behavior that placed service members at risk. I also think it's worth noting he's bragging and said, oh, no classified information. I think people need to understand that what the report concluded was all of the information that went to Hegseth was in fact classified. The only reason they can't determine that he released classified information was because he has the authority to declassify it, which he didn't actually do, but he's claiming he declassified it in his mind before he said it. So he absolutely released classified information, endangered our troops, and he's never taken any responsibility for that. Never said, okay, yeah, shouldn't have done that, we're going to fix that. And that makes him even more dangerous going forward.
And needless to say, any other president would have immediately fired anyone in the Defense Department who did that.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, look, at any level in the military, you would have been subject to immediate disciplinary action and depending on what the actual facts were, possible court-martial. So for the head of the department to face no repercussions whatsoever, yeah, this is an egregious mistake that has gone completely unaddressed.
We're now learning in reporting for the Wall Street Journal that Admiral Alvin Halsey was asked, apparently, by Pete Hegseth to resign. This was after that September 2nd attack in the Caribbean that has now become the focus of this latest Pete Hegseth possible crime.
Yeah. No, and look, I mean, there's the specific boat strike on September 2nd is troubling for the reasons the Washington Post reported, and we still have to get the facts. As you mentioned, I'm going to have the opportunity to meet with Admiral Bradley tomorrow, and we'll finally get those facts. It's worth noting that Secretary Hegseth, this White House, and Department of Defense could release this. They could show us the video. They could release the information. They haven't done that. Instead, they've had an ever-changing story about exactly what happened. Remember the first report, oh, fake news, Washington Post making it up. And then it was like, yes, the strike happened, but he did it. Admiral Bradley did it, a classic CYA move that is really upsetting a lot of people at the Pentagon when they see their civilian leadership abandon them in this situation. So we need the facts. We need to know exactly what happened. But even beyond that strike, it appears that Admiral Halsey was troubled by the mission itself. Because, okay, two people clinging to the side of a boat, survivors of the strike, clearly not a threat. But even before then, when they were on the boat, carrying cocaine, probably not destined for the United States, thousands of miles away from the United States, not attacking any U.S. person, not attacking the U.S. military. What's the threat there that warrants the use of lethal force? That is a question that also has not been adequately answered. And it seems pretty clear that Admiral Halsey, as the guy in charge of that area of responsibility, was troubled by those orders.
When Admiral Bradley tomorrow is speaking to a closed-door session of your committee, is that how it's going to work?
Well, no, it's a closed-door session, actually just four of us at the moment, chair and ranking House and Senate. And it is a classified closed-door meeting, yes.
And so in that setting, would you be in a position to get every answer you would want to get from him?
I should be, but you don't know. And look, I have met with Admiral Bradley before. I have an incredible amount of admiration for him. I've worked very closely with Special Operations Command for years. I know a lot of service members there, all of whom speak very highly of Admiral Bradley. I have no reason to believe that he won't be forthcoming. Secretary Hegseth clearly has not been forthcoming. But yes, I am optimistic he'll answer the question. Question number one is what actually happened? You know, what were the rules of engagement? Who gave the orders? And how many shots were fired under what circumstances and why? We need those basic facts as a starting point.
The Washington Post reporting, the initial reporting on this story, seems to indicate that Admiral Bradley did pass on the Pete Hegseth order to kill everybody.
Well, that's the first thing we got to figure out here. Now Hegseth, and it was really interesting at that White House press conference when the press secretary Leavitt read a very carefully worded statement that that basically said Pete Hegseth did not give the order. This was an order given by Admiral Bradley, and that was the classic, hey, not me, him. But there are rules of engagement going into this to begin with, and those rules of engagement would have to come from Secretary Hegseth. So Admiral Bradley, if he was operating on those, what were those rules of engagement that Secretary Hegseth gave? And by the way, in a normal White House, in a transparent White House, they would answer that question. It's an obvious question. They would say, no, the Washington Post story is incorrect. Here is what we gave for rules of engagement. They haven't done that. They've just done what Secretary Hegseth and Donald Trump do all the time. This is probably why Trump likes Hegseth so much. They just insult people. They don't answer questions. Just say, fake news, you're awful, terrible left-wing people who don't care about our troops. Yeah, okay, fine. Answer the question. Well, what were the rules of engagement and what actually happened? If you've got nothing to hide, don't hide anything.
Congressman Adam Smith, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Thank you. And coming up, a future possible Madam President will join us. That's next.